Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good
Yeah,
afternoon.
Great, great. Nice to see everyone. Thank you. It is 4 o'clock on the dot. We're going to call September 17th, 2025, Tweed New Haven Airport Authority Board of Directors monthly meeting to order. First order of business is to approve last month's minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Mike, thank you. Second? Got a
Second.
second? Oh, sorry, Linda. Thank you. Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor? Oh, excuse me. No,
Aye.
any comments, suggestions, or revisions? Excuse me. Any comments, suggestions, or revisions to last month's minutes?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor to approve?
Aye.
Raise your hand or opposed. Thank you. That motion carries. Chairman's report. I have actually nothing to report directly. Comments will be made by the executive director that I have approved. With that, I'll turn it over to Tom for the executive director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There was one action item from last month's meeting regarding the comparison of employment, and Tom C. will give that in his report. There are 4 resolutions for your consideration this evening. The first is a granting a limited blanket permission for execution of federal grant agreement. This will allow execution of the grant offers in a timely manner so that we don't have to call a special meeting and then they can be ratified or just notified during the regular scheduled meeting. Next resolution is for the approval of legal services for 3 agreements. The selection committee is elected to engage 3 firms for their various skill sets and potential cost savings. The next resolution is approval of auditing services agreement. Selection committee selected the incumbent Salakian and Company for auditing services. And the 4th resolution is creation of a executive director search committee for replacement of myself. Next item I have just an update. We had mentioned in prior meetings that we were being told we were anticipating a grant, a ZEV or zero emissions vehicle grant. Unfortunately, we received a call last week from FAA saying that the grant is not going to be awarded because it does not meet the goals of the current administration. So we're looking to reevaluate that process. Our CIP meeting, the annual capital improvement plan meeting, is scheduled for Monday with FAA. That'll begin our discussions on the overall CIP plan. And related to that, Avports has submitted within, in accordance with their agreement requirements, their facility conditions assessment report. Actually, Jeremy, I think that was, not mistaken, that's all every other year, but you're doing it every year. That's good. We're also working on preparing the state audit report, which will be submitted by the end of this month. Just a quick note, if you haven't heard, and we sent out the links, Avelo had received some additional funding and they're purchasing 50 new aircraft. I believe the airplanes are quieter, cleaner, better economics, everything. So that's great. And also, I don't think we mentioned in the last meeting, but just prior to the last meeting, there was an announcement Avelo's adding Key West service out of this airport. And I've asked Avports folks to give us an air service update at the next meeting. Statistics, HVN continues to see a very impressive growth. I apologize, BTS statistics weren't included in the original packet, but they were added today. For June 2025, we saw a 25% increase or 12,652 passengers in enplanements. Over last June, year to date, we're up 35% or 181,318 passengers. And for the 12-month period ending June, just under 700,000 passengers with 692,686 enplanements, which is just incredible. So that's great news. We continue to grow. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions for Tom? Any comments or questions for Tom? Great. Seeing none, we'll move on to Finance Committee report. Serena?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, everyone.
Evening.
Hope all is well. We have reviewed the minutes, the report for the month, and Tom is going to give the actual report. Thank you.
Thank you, Serena.
Thank you, Serena. So in the airfield account, and please note that for all of these, the monthly is the same as the year to date because it's the first month of the fiscal year, July. But for July, actual revenues in the airfield account, excluding the lessee subsidy of $150,944, came in at $103,458. The actual subsidy is under budget by $169,164. And again, year to date, excluding it, it's still $150,000. Like I said, for the first month, it's the same as year to date, and that was better than budgeted by $6,934. Expenses were $254,402, which is under budget by $162,230. And year to date, we're below budget by the same number, 162. Admin account, the total revenues for July were $60,967, which is over budget by $2,384. Year to date, same as above. Expenses for admin for the month were $72,043. We're under budget on the year to date by $1,465. Actual net results for the admin fund for July was a loss of $11,076 and is still better year to date than budget by $3,849. The balance sheet, the fund balance at the end of this period was $350,836, and overall liabilities and fund balances are $1,551,289. That concludes the finance report.
Thank you. Any questions on the finance report? Mark, I think you had questions and you're answered. Your satisfaction?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Great. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Serena. Move on to item 6, the airport manager's report, and that'll be Mr. Nielsen, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. A few items to report on. We are officially in preparation mode for winter season. Our snow prep is underway, and that includes ensuring all of our equipment is ready for activating our snow plan. So we're going through each piece of equipment methodically, looking at all of our supplies, making sure we have everything in inventory. Starting our seasonal training with all of our staff, and then we'll be scheduling our regular snow plan review with our tenants. That'll be planned for October. On the east side of the taxiway, we have plans to expand the design. Call it the fillet. It's the turning radius of the taxiway Bravo Charlie intersection to accommodate the larger aircraft. Breeze flies in with 737-800s, which is a design group 3 aircraft, but it does have a larger.
You said Breeze.
Sorry, Avelo.
For the record.
Avelo flies a 737-800. However, Breeze also has similar constraints with their aircraft, the A220. So because of that tight radius, it's a little too narrow for their comfort. We are working on extending that radius so that they can navigate on the east side more readily, and that'll allow us to free up some of the congestion we've experienced here at the terminal from time to time when we have some weather. So we're working on that project. We expect that to be a fairly simple project from the construction side. It's already designed. We're just working on logistics. So we'll keep you posted on that. And then finally, I mentioned last time we're getting ready to submit a bid for last meeting. I mentioned we're getting ready to submit a bid for emergency airport pavement repair. That is yet to hit the street, but it will be doing so within the next week. Then two other projects that I've mentioned in the past, just to let you know, there is no update, but we're still working on them. It's the ARF building and the SRE, the snow removal facility. So those are two projects that are still in motion, but no significant updates on those today. Happy to take any questions.
Questions for Jeremy?
Hey, Jeremy, just how much do we expand in that radius? Do you know offhand?
I can send you the drawings.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's what it's really doing is just providing some additional pavement on
Right.
in the safety area. So it's
Right.
not necessarily changing the geometry as it is expanding the paved surface.
Understand. Thanks.
When will that work take place, during the day or in the evening?
During the day, you'll be able to just close the moving area, and it's probably a week's worth of work.
Okay.
Jeremy, this just precautionary stuff or no issues that came
No,
up?
historically, we did have an incident where an air carrier was towing an airplane on that portion of the taxiway and did end up in some of the turf. So that was part of what prompted it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this will reduce the back taxing that's required today. As Jeremy said, the 800 won't use that or can't use that taxiway system, so they back tax it. Once they widen the fillet, they'll be able to use the taxiway system. So,
no, you're good. The one other piece to that was lost your chain of thought. Yeah, that's
If it comes back to you.
Oh.
No. All right. Age. All right. Is that your conclusion?
it is.
All right. Again, one more time for Jeremy on the airfield operations report, airport managers report. Any questions or comments? Great. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 7, the leasing report, the new HVN LLC. Jeremy, please.
Yes, the only update I have there is just, again, the checkpoint. We're still working on the baggage connector between the ticketing trailer and the passenger screening checkpoint, connecting it to the CT-80s, the baggage screening area. So still working to refine that design and get it to a number both from an operational standpoint that makes sense, so it's not overly complicated, and also just being responsible with our funding resources. So I'm still working to tweak that, but we're still on pace for November timeframe to have that up and operating.
That's it.
It concludes my report.
All right. All right. Any questions on the leasing report for Jeremy? That'll be great news. That'll be great when we get that baggage claim connector for the holidays. Subpoint community engagement report.
Mr. Chairman, good afternoon, everyone. So, as promised at last board meeting, prepared a second installment of our noise monitoring report. So I'll get to that just at the end of my updates here. So just kind of running through on some business engagement updates. We're excited to share that we've officially joined the Amity Chamber of Commerce, which represents the business communities in Bethany, Orange, and Woodbridge. And this adds to our existing memberships in both the New Haven and the East Haven Chambers of Commerce, along with CBIA, which is the state's Business and Industry Association. So our participation across all of these chambers is really just an opportunity for us to connect with the business community, underscore our role and partnership in driving economic growth for the region. So just excited to join the Amity Chamber along with the other chambers we continue to engage with. And on the East Haven Chamber of Commerce, earlier this month, we were excited to participate in the East Haven Fall Festival. So that's organized by the East Haven Chamber of Commerce, and we joined their business showcase. So despite some late day rain, it was just a good opportunity to engage with East Haven residents, share some airport updates, and continue to engage with the community there. A quick update on the residential indoor air program or the air purifier program. of the approximately 838 eligible residential properties. We've received so far 355 eligible applications to date. And so we began outreach last week to begin contacting eligible applicants with instructions on how to receive their free Allen Flex air purifier. And so that'll be shipped directly to their home. So just to kind of recap the process, an eligible homeowner will be contacted by email. If they're not available by email, they'll be called by phone. And to really just kind of make sure that everybody, regardless of their preferred method of communication, is being contacted. And what they'll receive is a unique promotional code that will allow them to go to allen.com with a unique link. Just enter in their name and address and get those purifiers shipped directly to their homes. A good update on that program, as well as we were able to work with Allen. Originally, they were all going to come with one fresh filter. And now we've been able to work with them, and all eligible residents will receive 2 filters as part of their shipment. And each filter lasts up to 12 months. So we'll continue to outreach to all eligible residents on a rolling basis until we reach all applicants. But in the meantime, all information about the program, along with the map of eligibility, is available on hvnsound.com. And then, of course, always reference back to purpleair.com, which is a national network of air quality monitors, 4 of which are on or around airport property. And just to continue to take a look at those to provide some hard data on air quality in the region, which tracks consistently what we see here in and around the airport with the rest of the city and across the region. So that's update on air purifiers. Just a quick update as well. As many of you might have seen, last month, Avelo announced a new nonstop service from Tweed to Key West International Airport. That service begins on November 19th. Will operate twice weekly on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and is the only nonstop, only direct connection to Key West from anywhere in Connecticut. So an exciting addition to the passenger options here at the airport. Following up on last board meeting, there was a question around growth and employment here at the airport. So I was able to dig into that a little bit, and actually excited to share that I was wrong when I said last time we had over 500 employees. I guess still true, but the number is actually 780. So we have 780 employees here at the airport across 25 different companies, tenant companies, and organizations. That's up today from 2020, where we had 210 employees. So that represents a 270% increase in our workforce in just 5 years. I actually think that's a higher percentage growth. But from 210 employees in 2020 to today to 780, just an exciting milestone. One, as we continue to grow, but just really underscoring our role in driving job creation in the region and economic development for the community. So that's just a follow-up on last board meeting's question.
Great.
I could take a quick pause before I go into the noise monitoring report.
Yeah, let's do that. Any questions for Tom?
Yeah.
Steve? Mike, come back to you. In the room, go ahead,
Yeah,
Mike.
has this, the amount of growth that we had for the employees, has this been put out to the media? Because I think that's something that can show a positive thing that's happening here in the airport. And secondly, do you have an estimate on how much more it's gonna grow, the new terminal?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's definitely something that we work to illustrate and present, and there's always more opportunities for us to showcase the growth in employees. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but in past board meetings, certainly can share or provide another update at next month's board meeting as part of the economic impact study that we had put together. One, kind of showcases how many employees we'll see with the growth of the new terminal, but also how many jobs that creates, not just, sort of direct employment here at the airport, but all the ancillary industries that come with the growth of the airport, from tourism, hospitality, construction, et cetera. So happy to share that.
Thank you.
Back with you.
Mark?
Yeah, question on the air purifiers. I mean, I assume they might be just easy, plug into the wall kind of thing, but what happens if any residents want any help with those? Are we providing any kind of service to help them, situate them in the right spot, change air filters, whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, I ordered one myself just to make sure that I understood the product as well, to be able to provide some information on that. They're super easy to use. It's literally just pulling it out of the box and plugging it into the wall. They all already come with the filter built in inside. And for all customer service report related to the units themselves, Allen, which is the air purifier manufacturer, is going to be providing all that customer support to residents. So they'll have that option available to them.
Thanks.
Thanks. Any other questions for Tom C. on the air purifiers program? Tom?
Great. If we could pull up. So as many of you remember, in April, we released the first installment of our noise monitoring report. That noise monitoring report is something that we were able to do as we build out our noise program here at the airport, which includes the deployment of 2 portable noise monitors on airport property, along with the introduction of the WebTrack dashboard and system, which increases transparency around local aircraft activity. That's the dashboard where, in reference to a particular date or time, you can go back and look at historical data to see, what aircraft was in the area, what flew overhead, and then in reference to the portable noise monitors, which are integrated into that dashboard, look at what those decibel readings were as it either landed here or took off. Those 2 portable noise monitors in our first report, we had shifted into a few different locations. And then from that period of time to today, which this noise monitoring report will cover, they had remained stationary. One was deployed to the main entrance, and then the other one was deployed over on the east side, where our operations building is, a little bit closer to Robin Aviation as well. And naturally, because they're in different locations, they're going to get different readings. And so as we kind of move through the presentation here, I don't know if everybody can see the report.
Anyone see the report there?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, if you could just go ahead, Felipe. This is, again, just sort of walked through this already, but just an illustration of what those noise monitors look like. We could keep going. And then, just for reference here again, a noise event is anything that registers on these portable noise monitors that is 65 decibels or above. So that includes both aircraft noise and community noise. And what they allow us to do is to get an understanding not just of the aircraft noise itself, but a much broader view as well in relationship to community noise. And so rather than going in too much detail here, but what this map really just illustrates is what common community noises would sound like and how they would register along a decibel reading. As I mentioned earlier, we had for the duration of the summer, remained those 2 portable noise monitors, one at the entrance to the airport and the other one closer to Robinson Aviation and our operations building. And so this entire presentation is an illustration of data that was captured from May 1st to August 20th. What you'll see here is a sort of kind of split out of those 2 monitors. And so each of them, again, deployed for approximately 111 days. The average number of daily events registered, again, this is for aircraft noise, at the main entrance was around 31, and at Robinson was 42. Again, they're in different locations, so they're going to read differently. It makes sense that one over by Robinson and our operations will read more aircraft noise because those are closer to a higher concentration of aircraft activity. But nonetheless, what we've seen, not just with this report, but in our last report as well, is a fairly consistent reading on the average duration of each noise event. And so again, anything that registers as 65 decibels or above roughly lasts for about 20 seconds. And so if you took the cumulative average number of daily events, for example, at the main entrance, which was 31, each event lasted about 20 seconds. The cumulative average every day would be about 10 minutes for aircraft noise read over by the main entrance and about 14 minutes of aircraft noise over on Robinson in our operations building. And so every day, on average, 10 minutes of aircraft noise, 14 minutes of aircraft noise at monitor B. And those are, again, all registered 65 decibels or above. So anything less than that would not get captured in this because it's not considered a noise event by these industry standards. The peak decibel reading at the main entrance was 102 decibels, and the peak decibel reading at Robinson and Ops was 93 decibels. And that compares for each monitoring location to community noise events, which at the main entrance for community noise was 100 and I think it says 5 decibels. And then the other one at, am I getting that right? 105, and then the other one and the other one was 109. And so I think one of those was, for example, a police siren, and then the other one was, could have been anything else. And community noise events registers police sirens, motorcycles, et cetera.
Mark, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I think he just answered my question that the data, you filtered out community noise or other ambient noise for the aircraft data.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so that just allows us to zero in on the aircraft noise. And then down there on the bottom chart, tried to just illustrate as well in comparison. Again, it makes sense that at the main entrance, most of what was captured as a noise event at the main entrance was community noise by a significant margin. But that would be as expected. It's close to a roadway, it's close to the main entrance. And then over at Robinson and Ops, it would have registered more aircraft because it was closer to aircraft activity. I'll just sort of briefly mention as well, again, all of what we're doing here as part of building out this noise program is learning and adapting and making not just these reports better with every time that we do it, but also refining our own deployment. And so one of the things that we work on over this past deployment was one, making sure that the monitors are reading on the dashboard in the right location. And then again, that we make sure that those have a consistent access to power. So just for transparency, there was a temporary outage for the monitor over at Robinson Aviation and our operations building. But again, once we find those things out, we work to correct them and then get better every time we do this.
Would it be possible to get for the aircraft noise to see at least some examples of identifying the incident and then tying it to an aircraft type?
Yeah.
So that we could see, okay, an example of a Boeing 747, an A220, Learjet. And then the second question I have is, are any of those events overlapping? So could a event that was picked up by, on the east side be replicated on the west side?
It's a great question and comment. So yeah, we can definitely look to see how granular we can get in breaking out what those noise impacts look like by aircraft model. We do look at aircraft type and further in the presentation, we'll look at the difference between business jets, for example, and turboprops, et cetera. But it might be interesting to actually look at the models themselves. The other question, which was, can they register two? Yes. So we have two monitors on the airport. It's really quite possible and is more than likely a lot of these are the same aircraft kind of operation. So the aircraft comes into land, it hits the monitor closer to where it lands, and then it might turn around and at that turnaround, for whatever reason, it might register that second monitor. And so it will read as two noise events on each monitor. And so kind of did my best here to split them out a little bit more than in previous presentations to articulate that point, but it's a good thing to note. So if you can continue. So here what you'll see is of all the aircraft noise events registered in this time period, 47% of them were commercial jets, followed by pistons, then business jets at 18%, 8% were turboprops, and then the smallest share at less than 1% were helicopter operations. So that's a bit how it breaks down by aircraft category. On noise events by decibel range, so looking at a decibel range of 65 to 74, 75 to 84, etc., a slight majority of aircraft-related noise events were registered between 75 and 84 decibels, but not by a significant margin. It was quite close. So you'll see really the vast majority of all of those events register between 65 and 84. With the rest over 85, and then a very, very small share there, over 9 decibels. And then again, important to note here that these monitors are again on airport property. So it's about as close as they're going to get to the source of aircraft noise. And this is how that reading breaks down by decibel range. So if we look at one of the sort of feedback from the last presentation from a member of the community was to just start to dig in a little bit deeper on some of this data. And again, very open to other feedback and questions on what other things we might want to look at. And we'll cut the data to take a look. But one of them was, how do these aircraft noise events spread out throughout the day? So looking at a 2-hour block of time, what we'll see is the majority of aircraft noise events peak between 2 and 4 p.m. Daily. Those are followed by the 8 to 10 window, which makes sense. You sort of have those early departures, and then dip slightly before noon. And then again, as the rest of the day goes on, it drops off, as you'll see there in the chart. So also wanted to create some transparency around the noise inquiries that we received as well. So over the period of May 1st to August 20th, so about 111 days, we received 30 unique inquiries. So 30 individual users who submitted a noise inquiry. Among those 30, there were a total generated inquiries of 69 total. And so most of those inquiries were related to, most of those unique inquiries were related to low-flying aircraft, which were at 10, and those were followed by time of day to late at 9. And so just kind of breaking down there by issue and concern, how those noise inquiries were received over the captured period of time. And one of the things that we did as well here was adapt what issues we capture. So previously, when we had launched the program, odor was not a concern that was tracked as part of this. And I believe neither was frequency. And so, or two, it was one plus one of the other ones weren't captured. And so based on some of the feedback we received, expanded the areas and the issue areas that we captured here, so we can just be smarter and more transparent about what are the areas of concern. But so just a basic recap, 30 unique inquirers generated 69 total inquiries over the capture data period, with most of those related to low-flying aircraft, followed by time of day. I'll note too, the WebTrack dashboard, one of the most unique features of it is that it allows you as a user to go in, look at a specific aircraft operation, and type in your home address and relate that aircraft operation to the altitude over your home. So for example, if I saw an aircraft flying overhead, I was concerned about the altitude, felt that it was too low, I can go in and I can type in my home address and it will tell me exactly how high that aircraft was at the time it flew overhead. That's pretty much sort of the bulk of the data that we dug into for this report. Just noting again here, the two most fundamental kind of pieces of any aircraft sort of noise program is to understand aircraft noise is federally regulated under the FAA Part 36. And we are, as part of our commitment to the community, along with the airlines, had instituted our voluntary curfew, which is from 6:30 in the morning to 11 p.m. at night. Exempt from that voluntary curfew are delayed or repositioned flights. But again, really just kind of recapping here through this presentation, which of course will be publicly available after the fact. Just a bit about, what does this noise look like? How does it break down? What do common noise levels look like by aircraft and among the community? And what are some of the additional background further in the presentation? It's not necessary to go into today, but just left there for further reading for anybody who's interested. Sort of the definitions of the decibel readings, how they're captured, and what those categories look like. So just a little bit more granular details and information for those who are interested. But that concludes my noise report. I will mention one last thing, which is, again, this sort of next phase for this presentation and for the noise program here at the airport is that deployment out to residential properties. And so we've collected those inquiries from residential homes, and we'll begin that phase of deployment. So the next presentation that you see like this will follow a similar model, but it will really be looking at location by residential property. And we're going to do our best to be as fair as possible to capture both the north end of the runways, the south end, but also looking out to the sides as well. And this is, again, a long-term program. So it doesn't stop, with these. It just continues to go, with an effort to create the transparency around aircraft activity. What we will do is actually pull these monitors in during the winter months. So what we learned from last month is that it's just very difficult to operate them in inclement weather, maintaining a regular power supply, and just maintaining and operating them during those months. And so we're going to pull those in during the winter months and then redeploy them again in the spring. As things start to thaw and make a more amenable environment for putting these monitors outside.
Hey, Mark, you had a question?
Yeah, I got a couple. I'm assuming that you have not redeployed them yet, right, Tom?
That's right.
Okay. And
So
then
right now they don't, they're not available on WebTrack. We pulled them in and are in the process of deploying them out.
Okay. And then I think at least the last meeting, I had jotted it down, but I think maybe the last two meetings, the community has expressed issue with trying to get onto the website. So I don't know, have we taken care of any issues that were out there, or has anybody officially or formally complained that they couldn't get in?
I haven't received any formal inquiries or complaints about the website. I was just on it today, and it is functioning properly. But certainly encourage anybody who's listening or anybody that knows of any issues to reach out. We do our best to correct those as quickly as possible, but haven't received a formal complaint on that.
That's all I had. Thanks.
Great. Any other questions? Great job, Tom. Any further questions for Tom? Yes, Dean.
So the question that I have is, okay, so we've got these events. What's normal? What's usual? Can we find a way to show the community that of similar airports our size and our busyness, that we have fewer events or we have more events, or how high is up or how low is down?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, I plan to attend in November a noise conference as part of the AAAE Airport Association of Airport Executives. They host these very informative conferences to really educate airport professionals on noise programming. And so for me, that's a great opportunity to sort of raise that question and start to work with some of these other airports so that they can share their data with us and us with them to kind of create some reference point for us to look at and appreciate that. So it will be something I'll look to pull from that conference and share in our sort of the third installment of this report.
Yeah, I think that's powerful data so that we can show people, look, we're doing our job here. We're trying to make this airport the quietest airport of its kind, of its volume, of its location, whatever.
Absolutely appreciate that.
Wouldn't that data be available from the company that's providing us the software? I mean, do they have kind of data they could provide you?
Yeah, it's a good, yeah, so that's gonna be, I'll add that to the list. I'll reach out to them as well, just to see from their point of view, because they work with so many different airports, how we could look at that as a reference. Naturally, as our information is publicly available, so are the data and information at other airports. And so we kind of have a couple different threads we can pull on to create a more global view of airport noise.
That's another thing to jump on Dean's thought is that if you have a list of other airports that use this system, maybe we could provide those links to those websites and people can go compare on their own if they want to.
Yeah, I mean, off the bat, White Plains HPN uses the same WebTrack system that we do. And that a very similar model, very similar dashboard. And then there are a few others as well, but we'll work to put that together. That's a super helpful comment.
Albany, maybe?
Albany, yeah.
Yeah. Rochester, perhaps. Okay, great. Great questions. Any other questions? Pat Hoey has joined us for the record. No further questions. Thank you. Great job, Tom.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, Rob. It's Mark.
Oh, Mark, I see you. Good. Go ahead, Mark.
I had one more question for Tom, not on the noise report, but was he done with his report?
Yes.
Total, all right. In your report last week or last month, Tom, you mentioned about the Connecticut DEP meetings with the community and that things will be starting to get set up. Do we have anything at least proposed or any ideas yet when we're going to set those up?
Yeah, so we're appreciate the question. So we're finalizing that schedule, and with any public or community meetings, we'll always give everybody at least 1 month advance notice of the time and date and agenda. And so we're finalizing that and anticipate we'll have more to share at the next board meeting. And then, of course, work for that meeting as well to make sure that there's all that preliminary information, materials, and agenda available for people to read in prior to the meeting.
All right, thanks. Now I'm done, Rob.
All right, great. No, great question, Mark. Thank you. Seeing no other questions, we'll move on to agenda item 8, reports and action items. As the executive director mentioned during his report, we do have 4 resolutions. And Linda, our board secretary, has volunteered to read the first 2 to give my vocal cords a little rest, and I'll take up the last 2. So Linda,
Yes.
we'll turn it over to you for resolution 624.
Okay. Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Resolution 624, granting limited blanket permission for execution of federal grant agreements dated September 17th, 2025. Whereas the authority is responsible for the filing of applications to the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, for airport infrastructure grants in accordance with federal statutes, and whereas said grant applications are approved by the Board of Directors prior to filing with the FAA, and whereas the FAA awards grants by sending grant agreements to the authority to be executed by the authority in accordance with the authority's legal requirements, and whereas the authority's procedures require Board of Directors approval of grant funds received and any appropriation of authority funds that may be required for a local match prior to execution of any grant agreement by the chair of the board of directors or the executive director. And whereas said FAA grants generally require a local match that is covered by PFCs or the new HVN LLC lessee, but on occasion do not require a local match. And whereas FAA grant assurances provide that a sponsor such as the authority has legal authority to apply for grants and to carry out the project for which the grant application was made. And whereas deadlines imposed by the FAA for execution of said grant agreements occasionally make timely board of directors approval problematic and may result in lost opportunities for grants. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the board of directors hereby grants permission to the chair of the board of directors and the executive director to sign said FAA grant agreements without board of directors approval when said grant agreements have an FAA imposed deadline that predates the next board meeting, provided one, said chair and the executive director have written commitment from the new HVN LLC to provide the funding for any local match that may be required. And two, the board of directors acts as its next meeting, affirm the action taken by said chair and executive director, said affirmance to constitute acknowledgement and acceptance of the grant funds and their inclusion in the capital improvement plan of the authority. The actions taken by the said chair and executive director pursuant to this resolution shall have the same force and effect as actions by the board of directors.
Great job, Linda. Thank you very much. Can I have a motion to adopt this resolution? Dave, have a second?
Second.
Mike, thank you. We have a motion to add and a second on resolution 624, granting limited blanket permission for execution of federal grant agreements. Any discussion on this resolution? Mike, or Mark, excuse me.
Yeah, so this would be where we would match up the funds to the capital improvement plan. Is that correct?
Second director.
When you say match up, it's to fund the capital plan. Typically, what happens is the FAA will make us a grant offer, and then the match comes from the lessee or PFCs. But the timing is such that we need to turn it around quickly when they make us the offer. And we'd either have to call a special board meeting or turn the grant back.
So it's timing at the end of the day, Mark.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand. I wanted to make sure that it was kind of tied to something. I mean, kind of
Yeah,
alludes to that.
it's tied to
I just
the
wanted-
capital plan. FAA issues it according to.
The only other thought I had, and I just to throw out there, would it be beneficial to have some kind of maybe an email notification of 24 hours if it's, if there's not a meeting coming up, where if no one responds, then you just continue, or if somebody does respond, then maybe we need to reconvene or convene an emergency meeting. Just a thought I had.
Yeah, let's look into that. Normally, those grant applications come out with a link, Mark, and
Yep.
It expires. So that's why, it's
No,
a
I
timing
hear
issue.
you.
I know you get it. So
Yeah,
we'll look
I
into
just
it.
that all of us are not going to get that notification, right? And we're not even going to know about it until later.
Right.
And it would
Yeah,
be
see if
at
there's a
least
way to
nice to
do
know.
that.
Be nice to know, get some kind of advance notice, or give us a 24-hour period where we can either reply back, or if we don't, then you can continue on with what this resolution says.
Yeah, let's put our heads together on that and see if we can do it. Any other questions on this resolution? Comments? Okay, seeing none, then I will ask for a vote. All in favor of adoption?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, fantastic. Announce the vote. Those votes and this resolution is adopted. Thank you very much. Linda's going to take Linda's going to read the next resolution, which is 625. Linda, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay.
Not
Resolution
as long
number.
this time.
Okay, resolution number 625, approval of legal services agreement dated September 17th, 2025. Whereas the state statutes creating the authority require solicitation of proposals for legal services at least once every 3 years. And whereas the authority recently published a request for proposal, RFP, for legal services which detailed the services to be provided, to which a response was requested and requested proposal for fees and costs. And whereas 3 responses were received by the authority in response to the RFP, and whereas the chair of the board and the executive director, along with a legal review committee, the panel, have reviewed the proposals. Whereas the panel decided to recommend that the board approve of a new agreement with the following 3 firms: Updike, Kelly and Spalacy, PC, Crombie Law Group, LLC, and Anderson and Krieger, LLP. And whereas the executive director has negotiated a new legal services agreement with the firms above, which includes the terms described in each firm's proposal. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board authorizes the executive director to execute the new legal services agreement with Updike, Kelly, Spalacy, PC, Crombie Law Group, LLC, and Anderson Krieger, LLP, as described herein.
Thank you, Linda.
You're
Can I have a
welcome.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adopt this resolution? Okay,
So moved.
So moved by Ken. Second, please.
I'll second.
Is Serena second? And we have a second on resolution 625, approval of legal services agreement. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of adoption? Signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. That motion is adopted. A resolution is adopted. I apologize. Moving on to, thank you, Linda, again. Resolution 626, approval of auditing services agreement. Whereas the state statutes creating the authority require solicitation of proposals for financial services at least once every 3 years. And whereas the authority recently published a request for proposal, RFP, for auditing services, which detailed the services to be provided and the need for a proposal for fees and costs. And whereas 3 responses were received by the authority in response to the RFP. And whereas the chair of the board and the executive director, along with an audit review committee, the panel, have reviewed the proposals. Whereas the panel decided to recommend that the board authorize the executive director to enter into a new agreement with the following firm, Solokian and Company, LLC, in view of the firm's experience with the unique structure of the authority's finances, the firm's cost proposal, and in view of the firm's stellar past performance. Whereas the executive director will approve a new engagement letter for auditing services agreement with Solokian and Company, LLC, prior to the commencement of each annual audit, which includes the terms described in the firm's proposal. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board approves the selection of Solokian and Company, LLC, and authorizes the executive director to execute new engagement letters for auditing services as described here within. And I have a motion to adopt. Dave, second. Mark, thank you very much. We have motion to and a second to adopt approval auditing services agreement, resolution 626. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Papa, raise your hand,
Aye.
saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. That motion, that agreement, the resolution is adopted. Last one. Resolution 627, creation of an executive director search committee. Whereas Tom Rafter has served as executive director on a 3-year employment agreement with the authority ending January 23rd, 2026. And whereas said agreement requires Mr. Rafter notify the authority 6 months before the said termination date if he wishes to extend his employment. And whereas Mr. Rafter has notified the authority that he wishes to extend until October 23rd, 2026. And whereas the chair of the board wishes to create an executive director search committee to review Mr. Rafter's proposed extension and undertake the search for his eventual replacement. And whereas the bylaws provide the board chair the authority to create such a committee with the approval of the board. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the chair of the board is hereby authorized to create an executive search committee and appoint such members of said committee as he chooses in accordance with the bylaws. Said committee shall address Mr. Rafter's proposed extension of employment and the search for its successor and report back to the board for action on the committee's recommendations. Can I have a motion to adopt? Dave? And so Linda. We have a motion to adopt. We have a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Robert, I sent you an email yesterday requesting to serve on that board. I don't know when you create it. That's all. Just want to bring that to your attention.
I'm sorry, Ken, I didn't see it, but I'll take a look.
Please take a look.
Sure will. Any other questions? It's seeing none, all in favor of adoption? Raise your hand. Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Resolutions now been all adopted. Any other business? Any other business? Seeing none. Felipe, public comments. Thank you very much, everyone. Hi, Lisa Brandes, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, name and address, please.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, and I don't know why my video isn't on, but I'm Lisa Brandes from New Haven, Connecticut. I'm a student at Southern Connecticut State University and a nonprofit board member and a fan of Tweed New Haven. So I'm here to celebrate with you. I think, one, that I want to congratulations on your employment numbers and think that you should plan for 1,000 employee celebration whenever that is with the mayor and EDC or whoever you can, because I think that's a great number to get out there. That's just one thought. Second was, we all know that New Haven and pizza is a big thing. You have your lovely sign at Tweed, and I would encourage you, we've had the big pizza fest this weekend, to think about in the new Tweed how you might serve pizza or focus on pizza. And one idea is, at least for now and maybe for the future, Zapardi's has frozen pizza. So you could have a Zapardi's pre-wrapped frozen pizza vending machine that people could take with them as they go from New Haven. Just a thought. If we can't get the real deal there, at least they can give them the good frozen stuff. The third thing, I'm excited to hear Tom's participation in various chamber activities. As you may recall, I study of tourism and, in Connecticut in my studies and policy work. And I would encourage you to think about the Eastern Connecticut Chamber of Commerce, which is a very active chamber for about half the tourism activity in Connecticut, which is through Eastern Connecticut, and Tweed is the gateway airport, I would hope you would argue and agree with me, to Mystic and the casinos and our friends at Electric Boat and all their employees. And so think about joining the very active Eastern Connecticut Chamber, because the last time I was there at their conference in February, they didn't really mention Tweed, and the folks from Bradley were there, and I thought that's something that you could take advantage of. The next thing is, again, I hope you think about transit, but I'd love to hear more about parking and parking loads, and if there's data on when the parking is full and when it's not. I don't know if that's something that you monitor. I know it's through LAS. I'd also like to know, many airports report their parking revenues because that's a source of revenue for parking and obviously rental cars and fees. To go along with that, with all these employees, I hope you have a plan for employee parking that's separate from general parking, so that when you get more and more employees, they're not competing with all of your passengers. I also finally have a question about Via Haven, which is New Haven's public micro transit, which I've heard promised to go to the airport, but have not seen it available yet, and would love to know if that is coming as it had been promised earlier, or if it's not in the works. It's like a public lift, Via Haven. And last, I'd love to know if there's Tweed New Haven Airport Authority contact for even just for the board itself, not individuals, but I couldn't find who to email or who to contact on your website, even though I could attend your meetings. Thank you very much.
Lisa. Can't read that name. Jack. Hi, Davidson. Jack Davison. Hi, good afternoon, Jack Davison. State your name and address, please, for the record.
Hi, my name is Reverend Jack Perkins Davidson. I'm the senior pastor of Spring Glen Church, which is at 1825 Whitney Avenue in Hamden, and I live at 53 Santa Fe Avenue in Hamden. I have been away, so I've missed the past couple things, but I wanted to bring back to your attention care for and concern for Avelo's contract to run unconstitutional deportations of legal residents, and that in contract with the federal government. My hope is that you will more proactively add this to your agenda going forward, and take a more proactive look at where you have some ability to pressure Avelo to do the right thing. Earlier, there was a discussion about comparing Tweed to other similar sized airports and the activities and community engagement of Tweed versus those airports. I want to lift up to you the example of Salem, Oregon, where Avelo ended their contract with the airport in Salem, Oregon, even though the flights were full at that airport, because the community did not support the actions of Avelo. And I lift it up to you as an example that Avelo does not have loyalty to you, and so we should consider our sense of loyalty to them. I'll also lift up that New Haven, the city government, has committed to not using Avelo for their flights. And if one of the main municipalities that oversees our airport has decided that this is against the values of our community, it seems odd that you all, as the representatives of that municipality, are not also taking action. Similarly, Yale has made some indications of severing ties with Avelo. And you may have seen the headlines about the New Haven road race, which refused the sponsorship of Avelo for the road race. It is noteworthy that they refused to take money of support from Avelo. So our body will also take similarly courageous actions to help make sure that we can have a continuing healthy partnership with Avelo and continue growing as a community and as an airport, but without relying on such unjust business practices and inhumane business practices. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Reverend. Ma'am, do you have a public comment?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Katrina Yoxall. I live at 146 Stuyvesant Avenue, New Haven, which is a stone's throw away from airport here. I have probably to speak to Tom at another time. I do not quite understand the aircraft noise charts, the cumulative average of 10 minutes at the main and 14 minutes at Robinson. Is this per event? Is this, I don't understand any of that. Other than that, I also don't understand how the noise complaints and odor complaints are not a factor in the report. Where are we? The noise inquiries. Unique users by reasons. These things I don't understand. I mean, I routinely call for both noisy and odor. And I've had some serious problems with planes sitting on the apron taxiway. I'm not sure what the right word is for it, for 10, 15 minutes. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, a plane sat there for 90 minutes running. This is coming straight across our residential streets. There's absolutely no buffers. There's no trees blocking any of this. The odor's horrendous. Just coming here this afternoon, the fumes from the aircraft were so strong that my eyes were watering. And this is a routine occurrence. The noise is a routine occurrence. Being woken up is a routine occurrence. And these are not new. These are certainly not new complaints. As I said, I will speak to Tom and try to get a little more clarification on what these charts actually mean. The other thing I would like to ask about is the comparison to other airports as far as noise data. Are these airports that are surrounded, as this airport is, by residential areas? How can we compare noise here to an airport that may be out in the field somewhere where there are no homes directly impacted by them? So this is something else I'd like to, and I will ask Tom about. Other than that, it's the usual complaints. This is, in my opinion, definitely not good for the neighbors. And I don't see Tweed as a good neighbor at this point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Have a good minute. Tony Lorente, state your name and address, please. Good to see you.
Good to see everyone. Tony Laurenti, One World Way, Los Angeles International Airport, Meriden, Connecticut Airline Pilots Association. To reference the previous speaker, same old complaints indeed. 6 decades, 60 years, maybe more, since the days of the early jets flying into Tweed, modern technology, and yet we still have the same complaints. This is an airport, ladies and gentlemen. Aircraft will use their engines, idle them, apply takeoff thrust. We're not going to uncover a scandal, a secret. They're doing what they do, fly. References to residential airports, interestingly, coming into LAX today. Since we're in the business of unsubstantiated statements, opinions becoming facts, unquestionably, the entire population of Connecticut was underneath my flight path within 10 miles of the final approach. An impressive sight for everyone to see. Beauty, humanity, technology, an incredible thing. Airports are placed in many locations throughout the country and throughout the world. Regarding the comparison of other airports, absolutely, it's pertinent, relevant, and important to squelching, if that's possible, the persistent 6+ decades of complaining. This is an airport. Airplanes are going to land and take off. They are not the flying circus. They are not flying contrary to regulations and procedures. They're doing what they are regulated to do. Unlike the streetcars, motorcycles, boats, things that we all live with in our daily lives that are not nearly as regulated as aviation is. And we're not here complaining about them. Great to have the data, Tom. Tom, thank you. Good to hear also, Tom, the other Tom, and many Toms here, that you're going to continue for at least a few months. That's good to hear. Go aviation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I can't read that name.
Catherine Bennett.
Catherine Bennett, name and address, please, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Catherine Bennett. I live on Thompson Avenue in East Haven. And in reference to what the last speaker just said, there have been complaints because there are problems. Certainly, I don't think Tweed has ever had this many airplanes coming in and out during the day. I was walking by there today on the north side of the runway. An Avelo plane came in. It came in so low. The people in those houses, I can't imagine how bad it is for them. It came in so low. And then because the runway's too short, after it lands, it has to slam on the brakes and burn rubber because it's so short and it has to stop. So I'm not surprised that you often have to scrape off the runway for all the residue. And it reminds me of all the residue that's going into the wetland there. Also, like one of the other previous speakers, there was a plane idling there for a long time. There was also cars who go to pick up down there across the street, and there are signs, no, waiting, no Tweed parking, but it was full of cars, and they were all idling as well. The bottom line here is that this airport is too small. It's on a sensitive ecological area, a wetland, a salt marsh, and it's surrounded by communities. And this expansion just should not happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Catherine. Gloria Bellachico, good evening. Name and address, please.
Hi, Gloria Bellachico, 300 Lighthouse Road in New Haven. I'm really surprised at Tony's comment. I'm actually a little upset by it because we're always encouraged to ask questions and ask for clarifications, and for someone to chastise others for asking those questions, it just kind of pissed me off. So yeah. As far as the noise monitors, this is a complaint, and I hope nobody gets too upset by this. But Tom, the noise monitors that you're going to be taking and putting on people's properties, is there any way to keep them on the public's property during the winter time, if they're willing to provide the electricity, provide the care for it, because the wintertime, November, December is the highest travel time, and noise monitors, noisy planes, I think you'd get an accurate reading. I'd just like you to consider that. And Tom Rafter, congratulations on your retirement. And that's it for now. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Gloria. Lorena Venegas. Well, name and address, good evening.
Hi, Lorena Venegas, 73 George Street, East Haven. The first thing I want to address is the last Freedom of Information request, where attorney Renee Varga of Updike, Kelly, and Spalacy did not provide the list of the homes that received the air purifier letter. That actually has to be sent, and it is a piece of data that is able to be obtained under Freedom of Information. It's been discussed in public meetings. The map has been shown not only at public meetings, but also through media. So we need to have that letter. The list of all the residences that received the air purifier letter. Number two, Connecticut DEP application is 3,000 pages long. Nobody can print it out. Nobody can see it on their phones. You've printed out the environmental assessment before. I've asked you this at prior meetings to have it print out. So I want you to print it out and have it viewable right there at the airport like you did before. If you have to set up a camera so I can read it, so I can be watched via security, fine, do it. But it has to be accessible to the public. Right now, East Haven does not have any public meetings set up, and that's been promised for over 14 months. So I don't know what's wrong with the agenda, why we can't just carry over items from one month to the next that we're telling you in public comment. Number three, the employment data was missing from the packet. And the web track data that you're using is not being presented correctly because it's not what a noise engineer would present. And you know this because environmental assessment standards are higher. And you have Tom Cavalier, who's not an engineer, who's not scientifically driven to any analysis of this data. I also want to remind people that there are noise lawsuits in the history of Tweed New Haven Airport. If you go back to the 70s, those homeowners won the lawsuits against Eastern Airlines, and their property values were affected, and they did receive a sum of money, and they had to sign an agreement. And those people are still living in those houses in Morgan Point and Morris Cove. So for anybody to negate that complaining is an issue, you have not read the legal record. And look forward to the next legal record because this airport has a big negligence lawsuit against a child that was burned on a baggage belt, a baggage belt that you have failed to fix.
30 seconds left.
And this is going to have all of you coming in as witnesses. Bring in Jorge Roberts, bring in Sean Scanlon, bring in everybody, because the list of air purifier homes are your next lawsuits. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorena. Michael Giordano, state your name and address for the record, please. Good evening.
Michael Giordano, 800 Uno Lago Drive in Juno Beach, Florida. And as I mentioned each time, I'm quite frequent returnee to New Haven via Avelo Airlines. I'd like to make a positive comment since we've had so much negativity recently in this last few, that in my 50 plus years in aviation, I think you all are doing a fantastic job. I like the way Tweed is moving forward. We all can't wait till we get the terminal built on the east side and the runway extended to improve our service. And just keep doing what you're doing. And people take little punches at you and smikes at you, but we're behind you. Your team is behind you. The time is now. Go Tweed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Nothing? Another 30 seconds or so. Okay, we're going to close the public comment portion of this meeting. Thank you very much. We'll move to item 11, adjournment. Any, all in favor of adjournment? Oh, excuse me. Can get that? I'm so excited. I'm ready.
I know.
Can I have a motion to adjourn? Mike, thanks. A second to adjourn.
Motion.
Hey, thank you very much. All in favor of adjournment? Raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Aye. Have it. Have a good weekend, a good month. We'll see you next. The rest of the month, we'll see you next month. Thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned.
Goodbye, all.